There we go.
Well, I think one of these days we should give them a studio, like a behind-the-scenes studio tour of our janky little setup with my little heating rice bag set up over here for. All right, anyways.
And my box with the.
Shh, all right.
Baby wants a new spin, baby wants a broken heart.
Ready?
We're back, and it's day 9.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Good job.
Thanks.
All right, so we're back to bourbon, and kind of a unique bourbon in the sense that it's kind of a sourced bourbon, but kind of not a sourced bourbon. So today we have Bowman Brothers port finished bourbon. So, Ann, you want to go ahead and pour it? And I'm trying to get on my game a little bit and bring out the bottles ahead of time. So, this is straight bourbon. I don't think we've talked about that yet this year. So, classifications of bourbon, really, throw the small batch thing aside because it's not a legal term. So, small batch can really be 10 barrels. It can be 300 barrels. Nobody really knows what the definition of small batch is. The single barrel, obviously it's got to be all from one barrel, but so small batch, you throw that out. You get into Hans. Straight bourbon has to be aged for 2 years. So there is technically no law in the U.S. code on bourbon as to a minimum age. Like Irish and Scotch have to be 3 years matured in oak. With bourbon, there legally is no limit or no minimum. So you could literally take your spirit, put it into an oak barrel, new oak, for a minute, dump it out, and technically it's aged bourbon.
Yeah. Probably wouldn't taste very good, though.
Yeah, and somebody did that. I can't remember who it was, but so straight bourbon's 2 years. So while I'm rambling on, Ann, why don't you go ahead and start getting the nose in. So this bourbon is, so I say it's unique in the sense that, is it sourced? Well, obviously it's sourced. However, the rumors on the street are that Bowman Brothers buys distillate from Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace, does their mash bill, ferments the wort, runs it through the first distillation, which is usually called a stripping run, unlike what some of you savages did in college. That's not what it is. It's where you take and you run the spirit through a big still really fast, high heat. The idea is to strip all of the alcohol. Typically, then bourbon, you do a second distillation where you get it up to your 70%, 80% before you're going to barrel it. So the word on the street here is Bowman Brothers buys the product, the distillate, after it goes through that stripping run, and then they bring it back, and then they run 2 more distillations. So I haven't had anything to drink yesterday, but 2 more distillations, and then they finish it in port wine barrels, export wine barrels. Well, first you got to have it in bourbon, and then, because it has to be, well, not bourbon, it has to be new oak barrels, then a final finishing in a used port barrel. All right, so a lot of blathering. What do you get on the nose, Ann?
I get lemon and
that.
orange, but then I get it's not cinnamon. It's definitely like the barrel spice.
Yeah.
But it's like a mix between, it's like a little bit of clove and some cinnamon and lemon to me.
Oh, yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of rich, decadent. So I think you're typically going to see that with port finishes. Another big port finish bourbon, if you want to do a comparative tasting, if you have it, is Angel's Envy. Also finished in a port wine barrel. These were finished in ruby port barrels. So ruby port is typically a younger port, so not something that's sat in the barrel for decades. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely wine forward. Like, that that port wine influence.
Yes.
Red, grapes, raisins. Mm-hmm. All right, let's just jump in there. Ooh, stewed apples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't want to say apple pie, but
No, it's not
baked
that
apple.
spicy to
Yeah.
me.
No.
All right. That is fruity.
It is. But
I like it. So it's like cherry. Everything in my brain is just screaming like red fruits, like cherries, red berries, raspberries,
I'm
deep
getting
red grapes. I'm sorry,
No.
just blurt
No.
it out. Talk over me.
No. Now I
Do
forgot
like
what I
you-
was gonna
do
say.
like you do in the privacy of our own home. I know in public you're always nice to me, but let them see the real you, Ann.
Yeah.
Stomp me down.
I'm aggressive and yeah. Now I forget what I was gonna say. I have to drink some more and figure that out.
Well, every time going back, it gets like sweeter to me. Like,
Yeah. So I get a lot of stone fruit. Like I'm getting apricot or apricot, however you like to say it. Maybe a little bit of apple. And I expect it to, at first it feels like it's going to be really hot, and then it becomes really smooth and sweet at the end for me.
I think you just described how I felt when I met you.
Oh, that's
You're
so
still
nice.
hot.
Stop.
Darling, just dive right
Drink
in.
your whiskey and talk.
Follow my lead.
Whiskey. Anyways, I should have brought a bottle of Buffalo Trace up to taste this next to.
Yeah.
Because if it's the same, the distillation process is going to be a little bit different, but you're starting with the same spirit, probably aging in the same barrels, finishing in port. So I almost wonder if this is what Buffalo Trace, your entry level Buffalo Trace would taste like on a port barrel finish. But that is really good.
It is. And I love that it just mellows out at the end. There's no, usually I'm waiting for a little bit of a kickback, but there's not.
You gotta say below for toast. So on the chew, the old bourbon chew there, a little bit spiky. So a little bit of a young spirit, but not unpleasant, like what you'd expect in a bourbon. It's letting you know it's there a little bit. A little bit of the green tea, eucalyptus vibe on the very front part of the palate. Mm-hmm. And then I think if you're not aggressive with it, in the chew, I think just the regular sip and swallow is really where you get those big, juicy stone fruits. So
Yeah.
bit complex. I like it. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. Price point on this around us about $43 to $45. So for 2-3 year old bourbon, it's obviously not much older than that. You're picking up the young components. I think a good deal. I do think the wine finishes, the port wine, the sherry finishes. We're going to have a Sauternes wine cask finish. So if you think of, the taste component of alcohol can be like a jagged peak, right? A sawtooth. If you think about, if you just drank that without the wine finish, it's going to be pretty jagged. But the wine finish to me kind of fills in those valleys a little bit and maybe rounds off the, what do they call that? What was that? The sine wave or the wavelength?
Yeah.
Come on, some of you smart people out there, can fill in the comments below what that's all about. But no, I'm impressed with the finish. It's got a long finish. It stays with you. I can still kind of, feel it there. It's pretty satisfying whiskey. I don't know, where does this jump? Because you had Bird Dog still as your number one, right?
I did. Yeah.
Does this unseat the Bird Dog for you?
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. I think because it almost feels like it's two whiskeys in one for me. Mm-hmm. Right? Like where that first tasting and then what comes after is like a almost two different ones for me in a good way. So yeah,
All right.
I think it's really good.
So is
tasty.
this number one for you?
It might be.
Well, you got to decide. We're deciding each night. That's
Well,
the deal
I
now.
know
Too.
it's a hard choice though.
Yeah, but
There's so
sometimes
many
you just
good
got to
ones.
go with your
Okay,
decision, babe.
I'm gonna go with this.
All right, there you go.
Because it's
right.
it's got a lot going on, but it's simple at the same time.
I think I'm gonna keep Kilbeggan.
Yeah.
Still is my top seed. Hasn't King of the Mountain, King of the Whiskey Mountain hasn't been dethroned just yet.
Yeah.
But that was close. For $40-some bourbon, it ran pretty hard at it. All right, Annie, who you want to do a shout out to tonight?
Tonight, I'm gonna shout out to Billy McClung and the boys.
Oh.
So.
I guess the kind of appropriate Bowman brothers and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
well,
Billy and his boys.
They're all gonna be brothers-in-law.
Yeah.
Should we send a special one to Luke
To Luke.
with his news?
Yeah.
He's officially going to become one of the
Clungers.
Right.
McClungs, yeah.
Well,
or opposite,
brothers-in-law.
really. Yeah, brothers-in-law.
Yeah. All right.
True. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, we ready?
Yep.
May your heart stay young, the whiskey be old, the cork loose, and the adventures bold.
Brown sugar. See you tomorrow.
Cheers.
Yeah, we'll definitely buy that one and put it on the shelf.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Good one.